So we had a really notable show here this past weekend, and maybe if you guys were close enough to the Chicago area, or if you were anywhere across the country and you love going to some of the biggest coin and currency shows, then the Central States Numismatic Show in Chicago was probably the place for you. Now, it is one of the biggest shows throughout the year, and it is also known as kind of like that landmark show to help kick off the summertime. Now, I know we're probably about a month and a half before summer, swings into things, but it's worth noting that activity was actually quite good at the show. I wasn't there personally, but a few people that I had talked to had said that it was relatively busy, which is good. That's good news. The market is still the market, no big surprise that coins, currency, precious metals continue to outperform any other type of collectibles today. And that's certainly wonderful news. It's a great time to be in the hobby of numismatics. But yeah, I mean, that was a great way to kind of kick off the month of May. If you guys had done it, would love to hear your adventures. Did you pick up anything notable at the Central States show? Would love to hear about it. But we are indeed into a new month. This is the Monday market report for the week ending May 1st, 2020. So this is interesting. Heritage Auctions ended up hosting a really nice sized Central States show auction, okay? And, there's a lot of notable stuff that did sell there. However, Great Collections and Ian Russell was in attendance for a little while at Central States, and he didn't stick around that long enough, but hey, guess what? Yeah, there were quite a few really nice auctions to help kind of, promote, not so much promote the Central States show. That show kind of speaks for itself, but, it ran in conjunction with the Heritage show. And it was just amazing. We have a lot of great coins to talk about from Great Collections today that I think you guys will love. And a lot of very surprising things. I mean, check out that title. 1944 Lincoln set. Produced up to wazoo. That sold for the amount of money it did. Yeah, it deserves a little bit of a talking point here. But we also have just amazing, just collector grade level. There's even a few registry set pieces that did sell. But for this week, we've highlighted a lot of those really nice type coins that are continuously being bought out at record levels. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Again, this is a report primarily made up of post-1900 modern graded coins. We don't typically talk about older coins. These are all U.S. coins. And it's the real focal point to this show. So, we've been doing this for over 3 years. It's been a fantastic show that a lot of you have loved and embraced week in and week out. And it's a great barometer check on the market as a whole. So let's go ahead and jump right in for the market activity this week. Starting out with one of my favorite coins, and again, just the strength of the prices of some of the highest graded 1995 Lincoln Memorials with the doubled die obverse variety cannot be ignored. Now, the coin that we have here is such a high graded example that some would say that it's a great candidate for a registry set of varieties. All right, and I think that's probably the primary target of this particular coin. It's an NGC Mid-State 69 full red. As you can see, the doubling is the strongest on the word liberty and in the motto, "In God We Trust." Those are going to be the two areas of this coin that you're going to focus on. Now, these particular varieties right here are not really rare. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. These things exist in droves out there in the marketplace if you're looking for an example. Maybe not a Mid-State 69, but any grade that is full red and gorgeous. I mean, you could find them for a relatively good cost. However, the prices of some of the lower kind of like mid-tier, Mid-State 65 level of coins have been kind of drifting upwards. Now, we're not talking like big, huge movements, but, let's say for every 3 months, the price goes up $2 or $3 and it continues to do that for the course of the next 12 to 18 months, you'll probably notice it. But this particular coin right here, again, probably more tailored for a registry set. It's a gorgeous looking coin with great surfaces, by the way. Sold for $2,137.50. And that's how we're going to kick off this week's MMR. The next one that we have here is, of course, one of those premier chase pieces in some of the more modern proof sets. Now, proof sets from the 50s, it's kind of like that decade where you see some transitioning in a way that, there are full proof sets that are raw that are going to cost hundreds of dollars. But once you get to a point halfway through that decade, 1956 specifically, the price of the proof sets tend to be a little bit more reasonable. Now, there was a day where you could pick up a really nice 56 and up proof set for right around $25 to $30. That time is kind of come and gone. Full proof sets are running right around $40 to $50 today. That price movement has largely been seen over the course of the last 12 to 18 months as, the pandemic really kind of changed the landscape and the pricing in the market for those kind of like bridge proof sets is what I like to call it. 57 was one of them. Not a particularly rare proof set. However, what is rare are the coins that exhibit deep cameo frosting. Now, this particular example right here is a gorgeous coin that features some of that deep frosting on the devices. That's what you want to try and cherry pick. But also at the same time, you want to make sure your coin or your example has some of that really dark mirrored fields. Okay, that's how you're going to get kind of like the wild contrasting that a lot of collectors love. Now, this particular example grades out PCGS Mid-State 67 red. You see the deep cameo designation on the label. This one, not for the faint of heart, of course. You've heard me say that before. Sold for $6,643.12. I always tell folks, if you're looking to cherry pick coins that you can turn a ginormous amount of profit on, some of these mid to late 50s proof sets and even going into the early 60s proof sets are kind of a breeding ground for these type of lottery finds. But I wouldn't wait too much longer. These particular sets don't exist in great numbers, like they used to 10, 15, 20 years ago. People are kind of privy to the possibilities of this coin and many others like it. So go ahead and check them out if you come across them. Just make sure that you don't toss back any proof sets that exhibit any sort of cameo contrast on any of the coins. They're going to matter. The next one that we have here is registry set material written all across it. There's no way, no how I would ever invest any amount of money for me to own one of these as a type coin in my collection. However, registry set crowd, those guys that are into high-grade Lincolns, this is for them. This is a 51D that is a Mid-State 67 plus full red, also CAC green beaned as well, so it's kind of like double certified. This one ended up selling for $2,587.50. Not too bad. And here's another one here, although a much tougher coin. Now, there aren't too many examples that have a 67 plus designation. There's probably maybe a couple, all right? When I mean a couple, I mean like 2 or 3. There's not a lot of them. 1950, not exactly a tough date to find coins that would grade north of the Mid-State 65 red. However, 67 plus red is certainly a rarity all on its own. This one ended up selling for $9,281.25. And of course, a coin that you guys are probably here to really kind of examine a little bit deeper is going to be this 1944 Lincoln Memorial. Now, it's been speculated that these coins were produced from leftover shell casings from World War II. Okay, which could be the case. That's something that's been around the block, around the rumor mill, probably since the 40s. So, we're just going to leave it at that. So, a lot of these coins will kind of have a little bit lighter coppery color appearance on most examples. And then you're going to find examples that'll have nice, really bright red. All right. Now, this one right here doesn't look like your typical kind of like full bright red 44. This one, however, grades at a very, very high level. I mean, Mint State 68 red is ultimately what led this coin to hammer at the price it did. To put it in perspective, over 1.4 billion 1944p Lincoln wheat cents were produced, which is no small number, okay? Even in today's standards of coin production, that seems to be a really high number. And it's also a very, I guess, constant number within the Lincoln Cent Shield series that we see today. 68 red, however, on a coin that is nearly 80 years old is a completely different story. And because of that, this one is a pop 4. All right, there are only 4 coins graded as 68, and there are none higher. And with all that being said, that's the main reasons why this coin ended up selling for $16,312.50. Now, 1914D has always been a perennial key. Now, when you get to coins, or, if you're looking to buy into this particular date, there's going to be, again, that hard transition between some of the circulated grades. I always tell folks, if you can afford an AU 53, 55, that's kind of like the sweet spot. But if you're looking to get into Mint State, you're going to have to shoot really, really high and deep, because there are coins like this one that you see here, a Mint State 62 red brown through PCGS, that is one of the most unattractive looking coins that you will ever come across. Now, 14D is pretty much, take it or leave it type of date. When one comes along that scores into the Mint State kind of grade level, sometimes you will have to settle. What I particularly don't like, aside from the carbon spotting, is that unsightly fingerprint. I think that's kind of like a deal killer for me if I were looking for this coin. However, this coin will make someone happy, and it sure did. This one ended up selling for $2,964.38. Still, a really good amount of money for this coin, even with its uninteresting eye appeal. All right, on to nickels. Nickels were quite deep and very glamorous today, or this week rather. How about 1984p? Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and shoot from the hip with some ultra modern here. Not exactly a prototypical coin that you would find on the list, although I've said that before in previous MMRs. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and repeat that. This is a Mint State 67 full stepper, and boy, is this thing very well struck. This is a gorgeous coin. Yeah, again, this coin is here for a reason. It's going to slot into any high-end registry set of Jefferson nickels. This one sold for $1,856.25. Again, heed caution if you want to grade some of these modern coins, especially from the 80s. I personally don't recommend it, but there are going to be people that'll kind of ignore that piece of advice that I've given. And people have tried, and then they've cried. So a little word of thought, yeah, the money's good. It's not great enough for you to justify sending these out. But, if you do, heed caution. And here's another one here. This is a 70S. Not a great looking coin either. I would say that this is a very marginal full steps coin. And it's a 66. Yeah, pretty crazy. Which is kind of crazy, considering that there are a few pretty deep nicks on the obverse. You could see one right there on Jefferson's jacket area, pretty prominent, and you have a pretty big one right on the hairline on his head there. You can see it, along with a few others. This coin must look really, really good in hand compared to these photos. For it to be able to, to be considered this type of grade. But in any event, it did sell for $2,306 Again, another coin I would never invest in, nor would I ever attempt to grade. I'll probably stick to my wartime silvers and any other 40s and, maybe early 50s nickels. Those are a little bit safer of a bet. Now here's a really good one of my favorites. This is a 43/2. This is one of the famous overdates that a lot of collectors love, and it's on a silver nickel as well, so that even speaks more volumes to the desirability of this coin. This one, however, is an NGC Mid-State 67. As you can see, it shows 5 full steps, and it looks every bit of it. It's also been backed by CAC with that green bean sticker, which is also quite relevant. This has what I call like some of that good old album toning, from an old either Library of Coins album, which are known to be not archival safe. So the acidity of the paper will generally turn coins, especially silver, kind of like this yellowish gold color that you see on this one. This one here sold for $3,712.50. This is a really good looking coin here. Now for type coins, we got some buffaloes. We have a few of them here. How about 30 AD? This is the coin that everybody saved in high grade because they knew it was going away in lieu of a new Jefferson nickel series, which dropped halfway through the year. This one is an overachiever for sure. It's a Mid-State 68 NGC graded example. This is the grade that we long for. This is kind of like the wishful kind of like grade that we're going to aim at for any of these 38Ds. It has to be, because that's where the money is. This one right here sold for $2,418.75. Keep in mind, Mid-State 66s and 67s are still a sure bet for a lot of these saved 38D Buffalo nickels, but there is going to be that one chance that a 68 will show up out of the bunch. And here's a 37D, another really common date. Don't let the Denver mint mark fool you any. This one is a Mid-State 67. Surely just a really nice graded type piece. CAC certified. There's a lot to love here. This is, of course, a really nice grade of this coin. This one sold for $3,172.50. And, of course, 28S. This is where things really get scarce. By the time you hit 29 and then you go further south of that into the mid-20s, anything that grades out Mid-State 65 or higher is going to be quite valuable. So here we have a really pleasing toned 28S, a semi-key, Mid-State 66 through PCGS is of course a fantastic grade for this coin. I think I like the reverse a lot better than the obverse when it comes to that eye appeal. But really the toning just gives this coin all the originality that a lot of the Buffalo nickel purists want. And this one ended up selling for a very stout figure. $10,254.38 was the final value fee on this one, or the final value of this one, not fee. That's a heck of a fee. Yeah, I'm getting my my breathing back here with the 1913. How about a Type 1 Buffalo, good old black diamond on a raised mound? This thing is straight up nice, okay? And the crazy part was there was also a Mid-State 68 that sold the same time that this one is here, which is a Mid-State 66. Let me tell you a little bit why. This particular example features a little bit of nice steel blue toning along with some other mix of colors on the reverse. It's an NGC old holdered Mid-State 66, but kind of putting the feather on the proverbial cap. This one also has a gold CAC sticker on there. Now that takes a lot of doing. They just don't pass gold CAC stickers like they do M&Ms to kids. They just don't. I mean, that is a very rare upgrade certification for this. And, you'd be surprised. Even that little gold sticker contributes a whole ton of value for this coin. So, in hindsight, this one is probably undergraded by a point or two. This one sold for $6,669. While the Mid-State 68, I believe, is a either NGC or PCGS graded example, sold for about $800 less. All right, so that's pretty crazy. You can see the shift in some of the buyer mentality here when they see gold sticker, old holder, and toning. You know, they're gonna obviously throw more money at it. Now, this is probably your proverbial most perfect looking proof coin, right? Again, it's from that mid to late 50s proof set. You know, that you just don't see a lot of these. This one right here is a stunner. Now, I'm not a super hyped Roosevelt dime fan. I never was, never will be. But seriously, there is some gorgeous coins that come out into the market that will surprise you. This is one of them. This is a Proof 69 Deep Cameo. You heard me talk about proofs earlier in the show. You got the heavy white frosting offset by the mirrory black fields. This one has it all. This one sold for $4,063.50, which, you know, when it comes to dimes, it's just a really unimaginable amount of money, especially for a Proof Roosevelt from a more plentiful minted date. Now, here's another proof, and we don't normally talk about some of these early proofs from the 30s and 40s because, you know, the interest is very niche, you know, to the point where it's almost boring to talk about. There's not a whole lot of them that come out. However, you know, we have to talk about at least one somewhere in an MMR, and this is the time right here. This is a 36, and it's on a Mercury Dime, so that's like equal bonus points there given to this particular listing because I like Mercury Dimes, and a lot of people really do love this series and the design. This is a Proof 67 plus, so you would need to grade 67 and higher for these things to be worth a lot more value. Even a 36 proof Mercury with a very low mintage. This one's even CAC certified as well. And it ended up finally selling for $7,193.25. And of course, here's a business strike Mercury Dime, this time in 1920 Philadelphia. Still a tough date. The grade is just absolutely supreme on this one as a PCGS. Mid-State 67 plus, full bander with CAC. We're seeing a lot of CAC coins these days, and with good reason. They are adding a tremendous amount of money and value to these examples. This one right here sold for $5,918.62. All right, so we have a couple quarters and a couple half dollars to round out the MMR for this week. So how about 1940 in a NGC Mid-State 68? This is for, you know, a lot of you that really do like the series, but also appreciate a non-toned example. Here you go. Very nice coin. Again, better suited for a registry set of Washington quarters. This one ended up selling for $3,262.50. And a 35 here too, with just a little hint of color on both the obverse and reverse of the coin. This is actually a very good looking coin that I would say probably at one point came out of a BU roll. All right, you can't really say too much about that because a lot of these have a lot more nicks and scratches than meets the eye. However, this is another Mid-State 68 example. Again, probably better suited for a registry set in this particular case. This is one I wouldn't dump a ton of money into as an investor piece because there's always that chance that another 68 will get graded someday. There always is. This one, however, managed to sell for $5,906.25. And here's our last quarter of the day. Of course, we got to talk about one of the most pursued varieties in modern U.S. type. And this is the 1918 over 7 over date. These are all San Francisco minted coins. Yeah, but check that out. It's an AU50. All right, we're not talking like mid-state level. This is a circulated coin, graded by PCGS. And again, you know, this is a fantastic investor grade coin. This is a coin that you want if you're looking to invest into something like this. You know, you could certainly shoot for a little bit lower, like in the XF region, and do okay. But AU50 is in a league all its own. This one sold for $10,406.25. A very impressive number. And the first time in a long time, we're going to end it off on a couple Franklin half dollars. And I'm going to tell you guys what. Franklin halves, especially some of the higher graded specimens, even some of those Bugs Bunny varieties that you hear so much about, among a few other things, are going up in the market at a record level. Record level. There hasn't been more demand for these things as there are now, and to be honest, for the longest time, it was a love it or hate it series. But I think there's been a lot more renewed interest in the Franklin half dollars here in the last year and a half, 2 years, that, you know, these are getting hard to ignore, and they're getting equally hard to cherry pick decent examples. So we have a 62D, one of the more plentiful dates, high mintage here of this one. However, finding a full bell lines example with that strong strike, these are quite tough for this date specifically. It certainly doesn't hurt the fact that it's got you know, some of the cracked toning that you see here on this example, which is nice. It's not inoffensive or overdone. Yeah, it's a Mid-State 66 Plus. You see the FBL and a stunner. I never remembered these things selling for over $8,000, but this one did at $8,280. Jeez. And we're going to end it off for a lot of you out there that really enjoy blast white coinage, okay, which is a good number of you. This is for you. It's a 61, period. 61p, Franklin half dollar. What you see is what you get. I mean, I kind of find it hard to believe that some of you haven't come across something like this, not knowing if it's full split or full bell lines or not. This one is just a Mid-State 66, which seems like a very obtainable grade in most cases. If you find a nice kind of like group of them, maybe a local coin show or shop has some of these in stock, and they're just kind of like blowing them out for like 30, 40 bucks a piece, you might be able to cherry one that is really, really clean like this one and send it off to one of the graders. Now it's an NGC Mid-State 66 full bell lines, so it has the full lines that go across the bell at the bottom there. Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked right now. I'm having the words to really say that this one sold for $4,950. Again, a really common date. You really have to pay attention to the dates on some of these big bombs like this one. There is money still to be made. There are certain series that are sleepers like the Franklin half dollars, which, you know, are very dedicated to a certain group. But, you know, there are a lot more collectors of Lincoln cents and Merc dimes and Jefferson nickels than there are Franklins. But maybe we shouldn't quite, you know, ignore this series. It's booming. It's blowing up. That's going to go ahead and do it. I would love to hear your thoughts on the coins today. Of course, you got my unsolicited kind of you know, opinion on a lot of these coins. A lot of good ones. There were a few that I'm just really mixed on that I've talked about. But in addition, if you guys did that Central State show in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is right outside Chicago, yeah, let me know how your experience was. There was a number of folks that did go there, a lot of dealers in attendance, a lot of big ones, and a lot of auction houses and grading companies as well. So yeah, I would love to hear your weekend kind of story. That's going to go ahead and do it all for this one for the week. We are officially in May, so happy May, guys. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. That's going to go ahead and do it. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.